Hey everyone, welcome here and glad to have you along. Did you know that I am now on Locals? Locals is an app where you can build community. Think of it like a modern day Facebook group. There you can get free content. I host morning coffees, some afternoon happy hours. You get tons of bonus content, discounts to programs and functions, and it's the best place to connect with me and the subscription box community as we continue to grow. All the videos are free to watch, and all you have to do is sign up on Locals. And the best place to do that is to download the Locals app and search for The Subscription Box Show or Eric Music, or you can go to the actual website, thesubscriptionboxshow.locals.com, and there you'll be able to sign up for free. Hope to see you there, and remember to check out our new YouTube channel, The Subscription Box Show. Cheers, and enjoy the show. We'll bring it right back. So we are now live with Andreea Matei from Launch, Grow, Joy, and before we get into everything that you do, maybe for those who've never heard of you or your company and what you do, obviously the title of this podcast will be self-explanatory to some degree, but once you see it. But for those who don't know you or your product and what you help people with, maybe share that with us.
Yeah, sure. So the main thing that I help entrepreneurs with, and specifically e-commerce entrepreneurs, is how to get their products or their subscription boxes featured in the media. And that media can include everything from podcasts to print media and magazines, online blogs, websites, online media, and so on. So the main focus of what I wanted to talk about today is how to get your subscription box and holiday gift guides, because I know we're only, in July right now and it's the summer, but a lot of print magazines specifically are now looking for products for their holiday gift guide. So print magazines work about 3 to 6 months in advance of their publication date. So you kind of need to start preparing now and pitching them now if you want to see your subscription boxes and products and holiday gift guides in their November and December issues.
Yeah. So holiday gift guides, Black Friday, I'm sure is all kind of those things, which is a fascinating subject, I think, which will pique the interest of many of the listeners, if only because paid ads have gone up so much. And maybe it's something that was always on a wish list that it'd be nice to get into this holiday guide or into this, these publications. But now maybe more than ever, it's more of something that you need to do to counterbalance the rising cost of paid ads. Have you seen in your line of work more people kind of demanding this or asking you about this? And is it busier at your end with what has happened with Facebook ads and the rising costs associated with them?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the one thing I want to mention is that I think people are really intimidated by pitching their products to the media because they think, well, I don't have contacts. I'm not working with a big PR agency. Who's going to want to hear from me? And is my business too small to get featured in some of the large publications? So I want to let everybody know that you're not too small. You're not, too, too well, or a lot of the well-known brands oftentimes seem like they're getting more publicity, but anybody can really do this. So yes, I have definitely seen a rise in people wanting to get publicity specifically because it's free. And the only thing you have to invest is obviously your time when it comes to pitching the media. And then sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you do have to send out product samples so that editors can take their own photos and try the product out and see what your subscription box is all about. So definitely a lot more demand. And what's happening now is that there's this kind of shift from print media to online media where a lot of magazines are either shutting down their print issues or they're going quarterly or yearly. So even though there are still a ton of print publications that I always recommend everybody still pitch to because those do have a lot of weight and a lot of clout, there's definitely what I'm seeing is a trend into wanting to get your products in online media in addition to print media.
Yeah, thanks. It's funny because I had to write down a couple of things that I want to circle back into. I think print's going to make a comeback. Maybe not this year, next year, the year after. I think people crave having something in their hands again. We like physical things. We like to hold a piece of paper. I mean, I'm in the mindset. For example, I'm part of a a locals community, or it's a show that I follow, and they're bringing back a quarterly newsletter, and everyone's so freaking excited about it because it's like something you can hold. Like, who cares about this online newsletter? Like, how many people read those? But if you get something in the mail, you're probably going to take the time to at least look at it, especially if it's something you're into. So I think, for one, I think print's going to come back, but I think it might just take a while for people to kind of appreciate it, miss it long enough that we appreciate it again. But I was going to ask you, like, do you consider yourself a PR agency?
Not technically. So what the service, okay, so let me just backtrack for a little bit,
Sure.
to kind of tell you how I started all of this and why I think it's relevant. So I used to own a t-shirt business, and I ended up realizing that anytime I would get featured in an online website or a publication, my sales would increase. And I thought, wow, I want more of this. So I ended up hiring a PR agency, and this was back in like 2010. So, things have shifted dramatically since then. But the PR agency was $2,000 a month, and they did a lot of the work, but I didn't feel like I was getting my money's worth. Maybe I was getting like one or two features a month or something like that. And then I thought, well, I want to learn how to do this, so I can do it on my own and not have to work with the PR agency and spend the money. So I bought a bunch of courses, started practicing, sending out pitches, learning everything I could. And then I realized that, I don't need a PR firm. And I'm not putting down PR firms at all. I think there can definitely be really great if you have the right fit. But you can also do this on your own. So I started Launch Grow Joy, and specifically the media leads platform that I launched, because I wanted to sort of get to or help the entrepreneurs that they had enough product, they believed in their product, they wanted to get it out there, but they didn't necessarily have the budget to spend on a PR firm. So we're not technically a PR firm, although we do provide a lot of the tools and things that PR firms use. We're basically, I like to say that I'm a matchmaker between magazine editors and media and writers, and entrepreneurs. So what I do is I provide entrepreneurs with all of the contact information and deadlines and themes and editorial calendars and things that they need to know in order to pitch the media. So I give them all the resources, and then they do all of the pitching and all of the following up themselves. So it's like a DIY PR platform that can get the same results or even better as any PR agency could. So I hope that explains what it is that I do.
Yeah, and when I screen share, for those of you guys who are listening to this, maybe head over to the YouTube channel and check that out, by the way, if you haven't yet, because it's fairly new, and we are putting some money into it to get it edited by our fine editor Junard and all these different things. So check it out, because I'm going to be screen sharing. Because one of the things you did mention, like that connection you do, is you can buy lists, right? And maybe you can break that down when we go on the website and kind of visit that. But yeah, the reason I was asking if you were considered a PR agency is only because I've had them on the show before, for one. But I know like they have really, really close relationships with these magazines and all that. And you mentioned often when you go into a holiday gift guide, it's always the same big boxes, sort of kind of like recycling themselves on different lists, right? And it gets old after a while, right? So I'm just curious, like, the reason I was asking is because I know, like, usually it's because these big companies have a lot of money that they can spend, $2,000, $10,000 a month on PR campaigns. And B, now they've got that relationship covered. So how hard is it to get through then as an independent, let's say like myself, to get through, like, so you can do it, I guess, yourself, like you did all the groundwork to get these relationships, I'm assuming, and these connections with these different companies. But if you're going to do that, even without your list, if you're starting out, let's say you're something like rewind, Andreea, when you first started doing this, how much time did it take you to gain all this? Because it's not easy, I'm assuming, because I've sort of tried and it's difficult.
Yeah, it is very time consuming. And I think it just depends, do you have the time or do you have the money? And oftentimes, like if you have the money, going with a PR agency might be a good idea. If you have the time, doing it yourself is probably the best idea. I know oftentimes entrepreneurs don't have either. So you kind of, it's like when you're starting out, you're buying all the inventory, you're not going to have just $3,000 lying around for 6 months to work with a PR agency. So I think, it's just, it is very time consuming, I do want to say. And it gets easier the more you do it, and the more you kind of streamline your process. So what I usually recommend to entrepreneurs is to know that when you're first getting started, there is a learning curve. You are going to have to spend a little more time than if you were to be doing this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row, because you need to write your pitch initially, and that's going to take some time. You need to figure out which publications or which websites are the best fit for your product in your subscription box, and then you need to find contact information, and then you need to individually email out everybody and pitch your product. So to kind of cut down on the overwhelm, what I usually recommend is to start out with just 20 media outlets. So 20 doesn't seem overwhelming. It's not 100, it's not 1,000. So if you want to write down a list of 20 of your dream media outlets that you want to get into, and this can include print and online, and it should include a mix of both larger publications with wider reach and then also smaller ones as well. And it is easier to get into the smaller ones because they don't get as many pitches, and they oftentimes are, they're more reachable, they're more approachable in a lot of ways. So I recommend to kind of rank your list from the easiest to get into to the hardest to get into, and that's usually determined by their circulation or how much traffic they have. And then start off with the easiest thing, maybe the top 5 easiest ones on your list to get into, and just write out a pitch. And I do provide pitch samples for free on my website. Anybody can go there and just request sample pitches and how to write a pitch. But usually what I recommend is to keep it really short and to the point. So you want to have an email with maybe 3 to 4 paragraphs, 2 to 3 sentences each paragraph. And this is not the time where you're going to tell them your whole background story, why you started, all of the ingredients, all of the items that go in your box. This is just where you're going to introduce yourself and tell them why you're reaching out. So in the first paragraph here of your email that you're going to send, you're going to say, hey, if you're looking for products for your holiday gift guide in XYZ magazine or on XYZ website, I would love for you to consider my subscription box. Here's a little bit more information and why I think your readers would love to get it as a gift. This is how much it costs. This is where you can find it and subscribe. Can I send you a sample, or do you need more information? So that is going to be basically your pitch email when you're first reaching out. And then when they do need more information, then that's the time when you can give them more details and send them all the photos and stuff like that. And you do also want to embed a photo in your pitch email, because you want them to immediately see your branding, what your box is all about. And basically, if your look and your branding is going to fit in with their look and their branding and their audience as well. So that's what I usually recommend doing. And obviously, once you get through the first 5 that are easier to get, then you can, go through to your next tier of publications. And then finally, after you've had some practice emailing those, then you can go ahead and email, the top ones, Refinery 29 and Oprah Magazine and all of the really large publications where the editors are a little harder to get hold of. But once you have your pitch written, your pitch is pretty much going to stay the same, maybe except for the first sentence. where you're telling them why you're reaching out and what do you want to be featured in. So that's going to change depending on the publication, but the rest of the pitch is going to stay the same or pretty much the same. So you're not going to have to rewrite everything from scratch the second, third, fourth time you're reaching out. So in the beginning, you're going to invest a little more time. And then as you start pitching, it's going to take a lot less time. And then what I used to do and what I still do now with clients, or even for myself when I pitch my business, is that I pick a day a week or even a day a month where I'm going to focus solely on pitching. Because if you're jumping from task to task, that's going to really add a lot more times. But if you say, okay, I'm going to do, every Tuesday, I'm going to spend the first 3 hours of my day on pitching, that's going to go a lot smoother. So that's how you can cut out a lot of the overwhelm.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you've sort of validated what I did. I think it was yesterday on Locals on our community. I did a live morning coffee talking about kind of like pre-heading, like the interview I was going to do with you and some of the my perspective. And I was hoping that I wasn't going to be completely wrong, which I'm not, because I said keep it short, add value, what's in it for them, right? Which you mentioned, they want to know obviously what's in it for them as well. Like, how is it going to benefit their readers? They need to know that, but also not to give your whole story there. It's not about that. This is just about what's in it for them, why it'd be a good fit, and sort of personalize it a little bit, right? You don't want to just like amass email that goes out to everyone, because then they know it looks spammy. When we all know when we're getting spam, we all know it. Come on. So I mean, so do they get pitched all the time. So you want to sort of separate yourselves. I was going to ask you about a headline though. Is there like a certain? And I know we're going to go over the website and you're going to do these different things, but is there like a headline that you play around with, or a couple of headlines you play around with that catches their attention? Because just to get them to open your email might be the biggest challenge, right? Before they start skimming through all the stuff they get.
Yep. And I would say, your headline or your subject line are definitely one of the more important things when it comes to pitching, because you do want to get them to open. So there are two ways you can go, and I do both depending on the situation. There's like a gimmicky kind of way to do it, which works really well.
Okay, hold on, Andreea. Actually, what I'm going to do now, because now that I've got everyone's attention, because this is a good one, I just want to quickly mention, and this is like my pitch here, for those of you who have not yet gone to YouTube, to the YouTube channel, the Subscription Box Show, go there now and make sure to subscribe, for one. And you're not going to get bombarded unless you click the bell button. So if you're not a YouTube person and you don't want to get notified when a new video comes up, just don't hit the bell button. You'll see, if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it, because it doesn't do it automatically. But if you just hit subscribe, it really helps the show. And if you can even just like click on a video for 2 seconds, play it and like it, that helps as well. And if you do like YouTube, then I'm not too sure why you're not there yet, because then you get to actually see me talking with Andreea here and see the screen share we're going to be doing, all those kind of things. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'm now on Locals. If you're not too sure what Locals are and you've been a listener to the show for a long time, Locals is an app. Sort of think of it like a modern day Facebook group, or a Facebook group on steroids, where we do live streams in the morning. Sometimes we do in the afternoon, sometimes for like a happy hour. And what we do is we just talk subscription, and people can post their questions there. There's a live chat. People can also post their comments on there, and I share different things. And it's free, first of all, to join. You can absolutely join for free. You just go to thesubscriptionboxshow.locals.com. If you have space on your phone, my wife doesn't. I always make sure I have space on my phone for a new app. You can download the Locals app and then just search for my name or the podcast name, and you'll find us there. Join for free. Now, there is a supporter section where you do get additional stuff like post-show wrap-ups, questions for our guests, certain things like that. So discounts to courses that I provide, discounts to programs that I'm affiliated with, discounts to conferences that I'm affiliated with. So those comes only for the supporters. For example, SUBTA just passed, the Sub Summit. And if you were a supporter, you got 50% off your ticket. So people were going to SUBTA to get a Sub Summit ticket, which was $800. As a supporter of mine, you paid $400. So you're going to say, well, okay, I could save $400 just off this one thing. How much does it cost to be a supporter? It's only $5 a month. And it helps the show tremendously to help, the editing process. And obviously I'm not a full-time podcaster, so this helps tremendously. So anyways, thanks in advance for that pitch. Now, going back to the headline, Andreea, sorry, you said there was a few ways you can do it, and I apologize for cutting you off there.
Oh yeah, no worries. So I was saying, there's two ways you can do it. You can do it sort of like a gimmicky way to pique their curiosity, or you can just be straight up and say exactly why you're pitching. So the gimmicky way, which I've done a lot and works really well, and it's kind of true, is using a subject line like, quick question, or, or hi, or using their name, and saying like, I don't know, like Linda, quick question, or something like that, right? Because you do have a quick question, and your quick question is, hey, are you working on a holiday gift guide? And if so, are you looking for subscription boxes or different products to feature? So that is your question, and you can do it that way. Although I don't recommend doing it that way every single time. I think you can mix that up and use that sometimes, but then also use a more straightforward approach. So the more straightforward approach would be to use their name, and then say, so for example, you would say, John, are you looking for products for your holiday gift guide? Or, John, here's a great idea for your holiday gift guide in Vanity Fair or whatever. So it's like you're being straight to the point. You're using their name, which is going to get their attention. And I found that anytime you use someone's name in the subject line, they're more likely to open it. Yep. So that works really well. And then just tell them why you're pitching. So instead of saying, XYZ subscription box launches new membership model, or adds new brand, or like whatever it is about your product, you don't want to do that in the subject line. You want to tell them why you're reaching out. So you're reaching out because you want to be in the holiday gift guide, or you want to be featured in the editor's picks, or you want to be in the Father's Day gift guide, or whatever. So those are two ways you can go about with your subject line.
Okay, well, that helps a lot. Yeah, and that's kind of like where I was thinking as well. I just didn't know if there was something to keep you out of the spam folders, right? Like, I know you have to be careful too. If you get too gimmicky and you don't have the name out, you might land in or if it's like too much like an offer, I heard you can land you in the spam or promotional folders. I'm not too sure if that's the case, but the name is a great question. So how do you get a hold of the names? Is this something you provide on one of your lists that you have? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is definitely something that we provide. And what we do is that every single week, sometimes daily, depending on the season, we reach out to editors and bloggers and writers, and we say, hey, we have a ton of clients that are looking for product coverage. And I'm trying to find out what kind of stories you're working on right now, and what your deadline is. So oftentimes you'll be surprised, but the editors will write back and say, oh yeah, hey, I'm looking for products for my gift guide right now, and my deadline is August 15th. So what we do is then we take that information, the editor's name, the publication name, or the media outlet name, their deadline, and what they're working on, because all of those things are what you need to know in order to pitch your product. And I like to say that pitching your business or your product is all about pitching the right person with the right product at the right time. So if you don't have all of those three things, you can have the most amazing product or subscription box or service or whatever most amazing business ever. But if you're pitching the wrong person, you're not going to get anywhere. If you're pitching at the wrong time, you're not going to get anywhere. And if you're pitching the wrong product, you're also not going to get anywhere. So what we do is we help entrepreneurs figure out, okay, who's the right person, what's the right product they're looking for, and what timing are they working with. So when you are first starting out, you might just have a name, right? So let's say you want to get your subscription box in the Mashable gift guide. So the first step would be, if you're not a member of Media Leads, you can totally do this outside of it too. But the first step would be to go to Mashable and then type in holiday gift guide. And then you will see a lot or all of their past holiday gift guides, and you're going to see what kind of products they usually cover, what themes they have, because they might have, gifts for men and gifts for women. And gifts for children, and gifts that give back, or gifts under $50. So you're going to get an idea of what themes they usually cover. And then when you click on that article, most often than not, you'll see the name of the person who wrote that gift guide. Sometimes there it is. Yeah. Sometimes it'll say staff, but a lot of the websites will have the name of the person. And then if you click on the name of the person, surprisingly, sometimes they'll give you their email address. Oftentimes they'll give you like their Twitter or their, their LinkedIn. And you can find out information from there. You can use a tool like Email Hunter, or I know there's others that allow you to kind of find their email address once you have their profile on LinkedIn or other social media outlets. So that's usually the way you can do it if you don't have access to, like media leads or a subscription database or something like that. So it's totally doable. It's just going to take a little more time. But you can still totally do it. So that's usually the way to do it. The other way is that you can just assume that pretty much every single website and every single magazine, or at least like the larger ones, will have holiday gift guides. And just knowing that print magazines work 3 to 6 months in advance, you'll know that, okay, if you want to get in the Oprah gift guide in November and December, you need to start pitching in like June, July, and August. So if you know that information, then you can just kind of try to figure out who's writing for the gift guide by going on their website and seeing the name of the person, and then pitching within that time frame. And usually the sooner the better, because you want to have enough time to communicate with them. You want enough time to send them samples if they request it, so that they can try it out and take photos of it. So you don't want to pitch last minute, but the sooner the better, in terms of, getting on the radar and getting all of the logistics straightened out. So yeah, there's a bunch of ways that you can do it.
Yeah, this is all very good stuff. I know people are probably writing down, I got to reach out to Oprah right now or whatever, the Oprah Magazine. Where are you based out of, by the way? Yeah, I hear a bit of an accent with your...
I'm based out of Colorado, but I was actually born in Romania. So I am not in Romania right now, but that's where my accent is from. But yeah, I'm in northern Colorado.
Yeah, it's strange you say that. I only picked up on the fact you might be in the States because you said X, Y, and Z, whereas most people outside of the United States will say X, Y, and Z. So I don't know in Romania what it would have said. So like all like anyone in the Commonwealth anyways, like in Ireland, Scotland, Australia, Canada, we always say Z. And you said Z. I'm like, but I thought it was a bit of a European accent. So that's why I was asking. So there you go.
Yeah.
You're Americanized now. You say it the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in America since I was 12. So I've been here for quite a while. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I'm not going to say congratulations, but I will say congratulations. I don't know if you're a hockey fan. Obviously, I'm a huge hockey fan, being up here. Your Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup just recently. So.
Oh, they did. That's awesome. No, I'm not a hockey fan, but I
know. You didn't notice that there was 250,000 people in the downtown.
That's awesome, though. That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. No, they had a really good team this year, and so they're actually in our same division as our team here. So that's why I know very much about them. But anyways, we're not going to be talking hockey.
Yeah, I couldn't talk hockey.
No, we're not.
Cool. That's really cool, though. Yeah.
We're not here. Okay. So before I screen share, which I swear I'll do, and maybe we're actually going to keep maybe the screen share and all the things for the post show wrap up for our supporters, but the results and the testimonials. Is there something where people can say, okay, I went to your website, launchgrowjoy.com, and Junard's going to have that on YouTube around the screen there. And for your listeners, you're going to see those are going to be in the show notes. If you don't remember and you're driving, you can't write this down. It's launchgrowjoy.com. But results and testimonials, that's something where I know this varies, and it's a tough question to answer, quite frankly, because the box, someone might reach out to you and their box completely sucks, and they're trying to get results, right? And it's just, they're not getting in because their box sucks, or it's not ready, I should say. And then you have other people that are just, everything's like a well-oiled machine. They're reaching out and they get tons of results. So how does that work can you promise results, or is there any kind of testimonials that people can see that have worked with in the past?
There's definitely testimonials on the website that people can see from different brands that we've worked with. And that is just a fraction of the success stories. And usually what happens, we don't guarantee anything. And I think if any publication guarantee or any PR agency or anybody guarantees you anything, then that's sort of a red flag, unless you're sending out like a press release and they're like, oh, we can get you on CNN and Fox and, ABC and all of those. Like, though, that's not really PR in the way that I approach it. That's more like, let's get it out to as many affiliates as possible so you can get links back. But those will not result in any sort of media mention. You're just doing those mostly for SEO and to build up, your backlinks and things like that. So the Oprah editor is not going to go looking for press releases on CNN.com, to see what products they're going to feature next. So those are the only places that will guarantee it. But again, it's like paid inclusion. It's sort of like working with influencers where you pay them $200 and it's guaranteed that they're going to mention your product. But that's not the PR that, that I do or that I talk about. So unfortunately, we can't guarantee anything. And the reason for that is because there's so many moving pieces that we have zero control over. So we don't have any control over what product an editor is going to add to their, to their feature or to their page or to their gift guide. We don't have any control over how your pitch goes and what you say, your product photos, whether they're great or not, your packaging. And all of these are things that really play into whether or not you're going to get success with PR. And I would say that packaging is really, really important. And I know a lot of subscription box owners, they do such a great job with packaging. So right off, you do have an advantage because you've had to think about packaging from the beginning when you launched your subscription box. So I think there's definitely an advantage there. But yeah, no, unfortunately, there are no guarantees. And I've even had situations where, I had a client and she made like these awesome, like really well packaged, I think it was like biscotti or something like that. And they were beautiful. And she got through to Oprah using our media leads program. And she showed up at their offices, delivered this awesome looking box. She made it onto like literally the last meeting that the editors had. And then last minute, they cut out her product because, they needed to put something else in there. So she was so close, and she had spent months like from June to August speaking with the editors, sending more samples and sending all of the stuff that they needed. And like literally last minute, they're like, I'm so sorry, we have to put this other thing in there. And it was something I think from like their advertisers or something like that, so it's like, you don't, you could have the most like amazing product and be so close and then last minute not make it, which is why nobody can really guarantee anything because all of the decisions get made in that editorial meeting right before they go to print. So
but you know what, that being said, I really believe that like that person put forth good, she put forth goodwill. She built relationships. And sometimes what happens is a lot of these people move around, right? So maybe that those editors she had a relationship with moves on to another company, starts their own blog, starts their own thing. And they remember that's this person being, very honest and, a good product, blah, blah, blah. And it can come back in a different way at some other point as well. So that's not, those are the small things, you're still building your network, you're expanding your editorial network, if you will, and you can't put a price on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to add to that the editor of Oprah, he actually went to to mention her product in his Instagram, so it's still, she still did get some feature out of it, but now she can't say as seen in Oprah. But now he knows her products. Who knows? And I've even had editors who are like, oh my God, I love this product, but we can feature it, or I want to buy it. Like I had someone who's like, I want to buy this, as wedding favors for my wedding. So it's like, you just never know what's going to happen. And you just have to put yourself out there and obviously hope that you will meet your goal of getting featured in the publication. But there's so many other things that can happen from that as well if you don't make it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, let's talk about some of the pros from using, we're just going to use PR for the sake of the word PR, but like a service like what Launch Grow Joy does, right? Where you can reach out to different media publications, print, radio, otherwise. Obviously, there's SEO ramifications. You mentioned it quickly for the ones that guarantee like the CNN, but there's also probably some SEO ramifications that are positive by just being published in your local newspaper or your local TV station, right? Like these hold high
Yeah.
SEO scores and rankings. I know, for example, a company, when I first interviewed them a couple of years ago, Shaker and Spoon, they do cocktail subscription boxes. And
Yeah.
what's cool about them is that they were not using Facebook ads for the longest time. And I'm not too sure if they are
Mhm.
at all anymore, because they built their business solely off of PR. This is
Mhm.
what worked for them. They would just pitch their
Yeah.
stuff, get published into magazines and articles, and people would see that in their articles and purchase, and the word kind of spread, right? So
Mhm.
what other pros are there, and why should someone be reaching out to you or paying for a service like this?
So I think the biggest pro is that it's free, and you don't have to pay you don't have to pay for ads. You don't have to pay for anything. Really, the only thing you have to pay for is the cost of your product sample if they request a box just for them to see and take photos of. So I would say the biggest pro is that it's free. And then the second one is that you can really get a lot of sales out of it. And I don't want to mislead anybody to say that PR always results in direct sales from a feature, because it doesn't always, depending on like how large the circulation or the traffic is to that site. But what it does is that it helps you to build social proof. So oftentimes you will get like direct sales from that link that somebody put on their website, or from the mention in the magazine when someone goes to your site. But then you also get indirect sales from having, for example, like an as seen in Oprah Magazine logo on your website, or, as seen on
Huge
NBC.
credibility. It's huge.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like sometimes when somebody goes to your website, it's like when they're thinking, should I buy this? Should I not buy this? If they're like, oh my God, Oprah mentioned it, or, Mashable or Business Insider or whoever, subconsciously that does something for them and it influences their buying decision. So I like to say that PR is definitely leads to direct sales, but it also leads to credibility and indirect sales as well. And it's just, there's so many ways, as you know, to get the word out about your products. And I think PR is just one of the many strategies that you can use. And it's often the one where you might have to put in more time, but the results that you can get can be really, really, really great and can really pay off. And when I had my t-shirt business, I got my t-shirts on a talk show, and I had $10,000 sales that morning that the talk show aired. And then the talk show aired again, like, I don't know, 9 months later. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing all of the sales again. And I was like, what happened? I didn't do anything, And then I realized that the talk show re-aired, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it can, there's things like that where it's just like, it's really exciting to get a feature. And I think it really can help to build someone's confidence. And the flip side of that is you can easily give up and be like, oh, I'm not getting any responses back. But once you do start getting responses, it really makes you feel like, wow, someone else is validating my idea, and someone else thinks that this is good enough to put out in front of the readers that trust them and that are looking for product recommendations. So it really does help to build self-esteem as well in your business. Yeah. Sometimes, we need that as entrepreneurs. Like we need the sales, obviously, but we also need the validation from other people, and PR can really do that, whereas like Facebook ads doesn't do that. So yeah, there's many pros to it, but I would say like the main two are the credibility and the sales, and obviously, the links back to your site. So that's 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and social content too. Like you can repurpose this social content, right? Like, hey, check this out, everyone. I was featured in so and so. I was featured in. It doesn't matter if it's like we talk about every little newspaper or radio station we've been featured on. Oh, what's that? Thank you, my lovely assistant here, aka my wife, giving me a nice cup of coffee here.
Awesome.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, I think like social content, like Christine's like, she does the social media for our subscription box, and it's always like tough to find stuff to post about. Well, this is just great stuff. If you're doing this, once a week, like you said, or whatever, and you're getting something a couple times a month, think of like the repurposing of the social content you can use for this, and people, share this. I think, and you tag obviously the radio station or the print that, and it's just, it's a fun way to kind of like talk about some of the wins that you're having, positive feedback. Now, so I don't know if you have anything to add on that. If not, I got another question for you.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to add, I know our focus is on holiday gift guides, but there are gift guides throughout the year. So I just wanted to mention that everybody who's listening should keep in mind the other holidays, like there's Valentine's Day gift guides, Mother's Day, Father's Day,
Halloween,
graduation. Probably. What's that?
Halloween.
Halloween, exactly. Like Easter,
Yeah.
4th of July, summer gift guide, winter gift guide. So there are these opportunities throughout the year. So I want everybody to know that, like, if you really sit down and think about, okay, what is my subscription box about? What kind of gift, like what kind of great gift would it make? And in for what holiday and what situation? Then you can just go ahead and literally pitch it year round. You don't have to stick to just the holiday gift guides during the summer or, during the fall when the online media starts looking for holiday gift guides. So there's opportunities year round. And if you want ideas like, well, what kind of gift guides do magazines do? You can literally just go to like any of the big websites like Mashable. I know we talked about them a lot, or Business Insider or Refinery 29, and just type in gift guide and you literally see like hundreds of gift guides that they do throughout the year. So that can give you some ideas of how you can position your product.
Yeah, I agree, because we focus on like every month there's at least one good one typically. I think there's a couple of months. I did a show on this once. I think like I want to say August or something has nothing. Like there's a couple of lame months, but even that you can be like back to school.
Exactly.
I mean, you can make whatever up, right? Like share a sale and like affiliate links. Is it almost a requisite that people would have to set this up before they start doing this? Because I know, like from personal experience, they'll ask you, what is your affiliate link or whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's definitely a trend moving towards that. So I would say not every editor is now, is requesting it, but a lot of them are saying that they give preference to products that are affiliated with, like either Amazon.
They make the money.
That's how they make the money. And it's because so many of them have, like their print subscriptions have declined and they're not making as much money from print. So it's like now they had to get creative and figure out, okay, what are some other ways that we could make up for that lost subscription revenue from print magazines. So now they're doing a lot of affiliate links, and it's not always recommended, but yeah, I do have editors who, I just had someone who writes for Reader's Digest, and she was like, I'm looking for, I think it was luggage sets or something like that. And she's like, I'm looking for luggage sets must have affiliate links with the big networks. And I'm seeing that more than I used to. So I think it's safe to say that there is a trend moving towards that. And I know some of the big affiliate networks cost like a ton of money to get started with, but there are the smaller ones like, Share a Sale. I think it's pretty affordable.
You need to have like we use Share a Sale, and I hate the setup of it. It's kind of like, it looks clunky and stuff, but I think it was like you had to put in, was it $800 in like that little minimum into your little Share Sale bank account. So what happens is when you're pitching, right? So imagine you're someone clicks on your link, you don't have to worry about tracking this. Share Sale tracks it, pays them automatically from your $800, and then it notifies you when it's getting low, so you can top it up again. So you need to at least start with whatever it is that amount. It's under $1,000, right? Yeah, I think it was $600 maybe. It was something very, very reasonable. I mean, I'll be honest, like in my opinion, and you can challenge me on this if you want, I think you almost need to. For one, it's going to separate yourself. If it comes down to you and a few other people and they're pitching for something, you have an affiliate link and they don't, they're going to take the affiliate link. Go on I challenge anyone, go on any gift guide, click on the box and look at the browser quickly. It's going to say like Share a Sale or whatever the affiliate thing is, and then it goes to the site. So like they're getting paid. It's a good way for them to do it. It's smart of them to do it. Why wouldn't they? I would just say, just do it. I mean, take an hour and go set up an affiliate link with whoever. Maybe we'll talk about, different affiliates, part of the post-show wrap-up, whatever that you would recommend. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually do have an article on my blog. If you go to launchgrowjoy.com and search for how to start an affiliate program, I do have an article about like why you should start one, what networks you can choose from, different pros and cons, and things you should look at. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll look at options.
We'll look at that in the post-show wrap-up as well when we do this. Yeah. So I mean, Yeah, I was always intimidated for some reason by that. I don't know if it's like if you guys are, the listeners and viewers, if you guys are kind of in the same boat. I don't know why I was so intimidated by this like affiliate link stuff. I was just terrifying me. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. Is that something you encounter, people that are scared of affiliate links? Or is that just
I
me?
mean, yeah, I think there are some people who don't like affiliate links for some reason. um, and they just feel, yeah, like
I
they
still
feel
don't
like,
like it. Yeah,
yeah,
to be quite honest. So all that
yeah.
being said, I still hate them. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why. I've always loved them and actually started my online entrepreneurial journey with affiliate websites. So I've always been a huge fan of affiliates and have seen the value in them. But yeah, there are some people who are like, it seems sketchy and they're not being, straightforward. And I'm clicking on this affiliate link and now they're getting the commission and they didn't have to work for it. So some people are a little weirded out about it, but you do work for it because you spend the time
Oh,
to
for
put in
sure.
the links. Yeah. And as long as there's closing it, I think it's honest and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I have no problem with the magazines making money. That's not the issue. It's
Yeah.
it's more of like this like technical thing side of things. Where I'm like, am I doing it right? I'm scared I'm going to
Yeah.
screw it up. That's more where I was coming from. Like I'm gonna
Yeah. Mhm.
I find a way to mess these things up. It seems so.
Oh
I'm like
no.
I'm gonna screw up my
Yeah.
feel like it's not gonna work, and I'm never gonna be published
Yeah.
again. Like that's
Yeah.
more on where I'm coming from. Not
Yeah.
like I couldn't care less who makes money. Like everyone should be able to make as much as they would need to.
Right.
So
Yeah.
um do you have so people that work with you, do they need an affiliate link, or is it strictly like you have a list? Like I know it's like moms and moms and babies, whatever, and then you pay your, was it $247, whatever, and then that's it. Like that's the cutoff. Or do you make percentages if you get into the magazine? There's commissions and stuff like that.
So we have two things. We have the Media Leads program where you pay a monthly fee, and it's $125 a month, and you get access to, like, I think there's over 40 media lists. There's like the daily leads that come in every single day. There's editorial calendars and a PR course, and that is what I usually recommend that people do. But then we recently added the straight up media lists, because some people were like, I don't need all the support. I just want to blast out to like all of the beauty bloggers or whatever. And sometimes there's a place for that as well. So those are the times when somebody might just buy a media list without anything else, because they're just like, I don't need to pitch anybody else. Like, I just want to know who the writer is at Oprah or whatever. So those are the straight up media lists. But what I do recommend is that people sign up for the Media Leads program, where they literally get access to like a ton of things. And right now, I just spent the last 2 weeks, or actually the last 3 weeks, adding holiday gift guides. I think there's like over 120 requests in there now. And that is something where it's like, you don't have to guess who to contact, because it's like, they tell you like, please contact me. I'm looking for, for this, and this is my deadline. So it's just much better than just pitching to a straight up just list that you can buy. But we offer both because different people have different needs.
Yeah, and that's the 125 a month for that one, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what would be the difference between that and the quality of that compared? And I don't mean any disrespect, because I can't imagine the work you put into this. So I mean this with all respect, but something with like Haro, HARO, help a reporter out, which is free, and you get 3 emails a day with like, and I trust me, I get Haro. I sort of quit, and nothing against Haro. Like I'm sure I've heard a lot of people have great success with them.
Yeah.
So all that being said, I mean, maybe you get what you pay for. I don't know, because I've honestly looked at the leads that come through. For one, there's not that many in my industry, but the ones that do come through are pretty, if you go back, check and see the actual bloggers or whatever's putting it together, it was less than, we'll say spectacular. It was underwhelming, to say the least, right? It was like, okay, like then you check out obviously I'm going to do my due diligence before I send them anything, and check out their social links. And okay, I don't care about the amount of followers anymore. I couldn't care less, because I know that some of them are so fake. I look at the engagement, right? And then you look at the engagement, and it's like non-existent for the last 3 boxes they've posted. So it's like, maybe you just get what you pay for. I don't know. Is that a case of that, or maybe there's more to it than that?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that because I started media leads when I was, or like I got the idea for media leads when I was using Harrow. So I would get the 3 emails a day and I would have to go through them and I would find like maybe 1 or 2 product requests. And then after like months of using Harrow, I was like, I wish there was a service that was like Harrow, but it was only for product and e-commerce entrepreneurs. So I don't have to deal with the authors and the experts and the MD,
Medical, yeah.
right, and all of that. So that is actually how I got the idea for media leads, because I was like, I just want the product based and e-commerce based leads, none of the other ones. So Harrow gave me the idea, and then after I sold my t-shirt business, I was like, I think now it would be a good time for me to start this idea that I've had ever since using Harrow, and that's where I launched media leads. And obviously my revenue model is different because I don't do ads, and I didn't want to blast it out to like thousands of people, or tens of thousands like Harrow, because I feel like the editor's inbox is already so overwhelming that if you're gonna share something and have, thousands of requests or emails back, then that's not really helpful. So I wanted to do something smaller that was more helpful for the editor, where like, I have editors that like, they know when they share something with me that they're working on, they know that they're going to get a quality pitch because I train people on how to write good pitches. They know that it's going to be relevant because I talk about only pitching where it's relevant. So now, editors come to me and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a back to school products or gift guides or whatever. And even Oprah Magazine, I emailed the editor 2 weeks ago and I was like, hey, I know you're working on your holiday gift guide. What's your deadline for this year? And then she's like, yes, we're working right now. We're going to go through August. Please send me your client list, so it's like, they know that the clients that come and work with me, or the members, I should say, that come and work with me, they know that even though we don't vet our clients, we also have we list out all the criteria and we're like, this is what you need before you get started. So editors know that they're going to get good quality brands when they work with us. And and I've been on both like the journalist and the expert sides of Harrow, because I do go to Harrow sometimes when I'm looking for content and articles and feedback and stuff like that for Launch Grow Joy. And whenever I post something, I will get over 100 responses, from Harrow, because there's just so many people using it. And it's like, I'll look at maybe the first 20, 30, and then I'm like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I can't look at 120 more. So I would say that's one of the disadvantages of Harrow. I think it's a good place to start.
It's a great point though. You make a great point, because the big people that already need to vet just the best aren't going to be on there, quite honestly, right? Yeah. Yes.
They're either not going to be on there, or they're only going to be on there if they need something super fast.
Yes.
And they're like, there's no way I'm going to get, a dermatologist who has experience with whatever in the next 10 minutes, and I need something super fast. So I have seen good quality leads on there, but not so much for products. And oftentimes it's the smaller blogs that are looking for free stuff who post on there, even though there's larger ones as well. But I think Harrow has changed a lot too ever since the days of me using it back in the day. But yeah, I would say that's the main difference. And yeah, no disrespect, to me or to Harrow. I think we serve two different niches. And I definitely recommend people start out with Harrow if they're not ready, if they kind of just want to browse and look and see what editors are looking for as they're writing their pitch or getting their packaging or their branding or their website or their photos together.
They're getting their feet wet, right? They just want to kind of peruse what's out there. And
exactly. Yeah. I think that's always a good idea.
Yeah. That's a great point. And you said it very elegantly. I'm a little rougher around the, you could tell you work in PR,
That's funny. Yeah.
Is there the close correlation between PR and politics here? It's you guys know how to, I'm kidding. That's almost that's an insult today, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different kinds of PR. There's reputation management PR, which is more the political stuff that I'm I want nothing to do with that.
Oh, please.
I just love products. I love branding. I want to help entrepreneurs, get their products, the like the recognition and the publicity they deserve without having, without them having to spend like 2,000, 3,000 or whatever on a PR firm. So
yeah, it's a great niche you've got. And I think, what a beautiful thing. Like, like you start off with hair, you saw there was a hole in the market and you created this beautiful, this amazing thing. I think it's great. And I think for people who are out there and Facebook, there's kind of like a lull in the summer. And I know, speaking to just from experience, like you never want to stop your paid ads completely, but if you have a smaller budget, you could, take away a little bit from your paid ads, keep it running, but take, 125, which is like, sell a few boxes, basically a few products, and put that towards this for like the gift guides coming up in Q4 and kind of start paying into your Q4 marketing right now, in a sense, right? Like, I think this is just a great way to offset that. It's slow in the summer anyways, typically. That's what we find. And I know a lot of subscription boxes find. So this is a great time to kind of do this anyway. So it's like great timing that we've connected to do this. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. Go check it out. We're going to be going over your website shortly in the poster wrap up if you've got time. What's your time you need to be out of here, by the way? I should maybe ask you.
I have a bit more time.
Okay. Okay, so I talked about the share sale, which we're gonna go over the how to start an affiliate site in the poster wrap up, go over the site, all the stuff you offer. I mean, is there anything else you wanted to mention? Excuse me, when it comes to reaching media, any other tidbits? Like, do you think radio is still a thing? Do you do radio as well? It's like, because when I think of media, I think radio, TV, online, blogs, paper, print, magazines. Does it cover influencers as well, your list, or strictly like media, like traditional media sense?
Yeah, so we only focus on print media, like print magazines, and online media. So, and we also have podcasts as well, because I realized that there's a lot of power in being on podcasts and connecting with podcasters. So we do have podcasts specifically for e-commerce. So that's in there as well, but we don't.
Sorry, one second. I'll follow up on that. What would be an example of that? What do you mean by podcast for e-commerce? Like
so for example, there are a lot of podcasts for Etsy sellers or for subscription box owners, or podcasts for e-commerce entrepreneurs where you get to go on and, share like strategies and tips and things like that.
Okay.
So it's more to feature you as an expert and an entrepreneur rather than your subscription box for the end consumer.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have podcasts. We don't do influencers because that's a pay to play sort of thing. And our business model is mostly on like the free features. There's no TV because pitching for that is so different than pitching magazines. And I really just wanted to focus. And we also don't do radio either. So it's podcasts. Although the podcast is like a small section.
But podcasts also can like YouTube, because it's almost like a lot of podcasters have a YouTube channel now. Is that?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of them do have YouTube. I did notice that. So we don't necessarily like focus on YouTubers, but if the podcaster has a YouTube channel, then we'll list that as well. But yeah, it's mostly print and online.
Okay. Yeah, traditional media. The reason I asked is because I was reading an article on LinkedIn yesterday, and it mentioned that some guy was doing a test, and he found that like YouTube just has like this thing where you post it once and you'll have like a longer lifetime of like views, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because people will go back. It could be 5 years from now. Like I listen to videos, like music videos or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, cool. This is a new song from whatever, like Kid Rock or whatever. I'm like, and I was showing my buddy, and then I was like, what the hell? It's 9 years old. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't believe it was 9 years. I'm like, I've never heard of this song before. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I think, so he got like another view 9 years later, you know what I mean? So I think it has some legs to withstand.
Yeah. And I do think YouTube is amazing, especially for subscription box owners, because there's so many YouTubers who do unboxings and reviews of subscription box. So I definitely recommend that as a strategy too, when it comes to working with like influencers. But I would say YouTube is more like on the influencer side as opposed to the PR side. But yeah, I think
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a good idea to like not put all of your eggs in one basket. And PR is just one egg in the basket, so to speak. It's like, I don't recommend that should be your only focus, but I don't recommend that you shouldn't do it at all. I think it should be part of your mix, whether it's like social media or ads or YouTube or influencers or, or print or online. You should definitely have a mix of your marketing strategies. But yeah, one other thing I do want to mention is that I think one of the most important things to keep in mind with PR and pretty much with everything in your business is that you have to follow up. So oftentimes people will send an initial email and they don't hear anything back. And they're like, oh, the editor is just not interested, so I'm not going to bother them. So two things I want to say. One is you're not bothering people when you're reaching out. I think you need to change your mindset from I'm bothering people or I'm clogging up their inbox to I have an amazing product that I think their readers would love. And they need to know about it because it would be beneficial to the readers. And I'm helping the editor or the blogger or whoever do their job and helping them source products for their articles. So I think you need to switch your mindset from bothering people and promoting your products to helping people do their jobs better and finding cool products to share with their readers. And then the second thing I wanted to mention is that you always have to follow up. So if you send out an initial email, it's not a no until somebody says no, right? It's a no response means you just have to follow up. And I recommend following up about a week later and saying, hey, did you get my email? And usually if you use the subject line checking in or following up, that kind of bumps things up a little bit more in their inbox because you're like, oh, wait, this person wrote to me before. Now they're checking in. Maybe it's important.
That's great.
Yeah. So use those in your subject line and follow up about a week later. And if you still don't hear anything, again, it's still not a no. You just have to come up with a different idea for the next month. And you can reach out to the same person or someone different at the publication. I know magazines often have, there's like a senior editor, an assistant editor, an associate editor, editor in chief or whatever. So you just have to reach out to different people and pitch different things if you really want to get into a publication. And yeah, I would say my follow-up or responses to my follow-up are often double the responses to my initial email. So if you just stop at that initial email, you gave up too soon. You have to keep going with the follow-up email. So I wanted to mention that because sometimes it is, especially when you're first starting out and you send like 50 emails and you hear maybe one response back, it can be really discouraging, but you just have to keep going, keep following up and come up with new ideas and new themes to pitch every month.
Yeah, I agree. I think a no could just be a like not now, right? Like exactly. Or they're so busy, like how many times you check your inbox and I get like these SEO proposals or whatever, like a number of things. Like right now, no, but I mean at some point, they're it's the same people. They're always emailing. At some point, I might respond. Yeah, it just means it's I'm not saying no. I'm just saying not now.
Right. Yeah, it's right. Just the timing is not right.
Or the product's not. In this case, right? The product's not a good fit, but you keep pitching them. If you gave up, it's like, oh, that would have been perfect for my October thing, or
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think with that, we're going to head over to the post show wrap up. We're going to say goodbye to those listening on the podcast. Make sure to go if you want to know what it's all about. You got to head to Locals, the subscription box show.locals.com, or just go to the Locals app, download that, search for the subscription box show. And you're going to find this cool post show wrap ups we do and exclusive things we do. It's also free to join, by the way. But things like the post show wrap up are for supporters only. So for the supporters, we'll see you in the post show wrap up, and make sure to go check out the YouTube channel, support that, subscribe, like, and maybe if you're willing, hit the bell button. That helps a lot as well. That way you get notified when usually the videos come out the Friday. It always comes out early. So if you always like to be, especially for something like this, this one's going to be coming out early on the Friday rather than the Tuesday when the podcast episode comes out. So you get a bit ahead of the gang, ahead of the curve, if you will. And if you had any questions for Andrea, you'd be first in line from the standpoint of listeners. So Andrea, thanks for doing this. Appreciate your time. We're going to stick around and say goodbye to the listeners for now and the viewers on YouTube. And for those of you who are supporters, we'll see you on the other side on Locals. Cheers.
Thanks so much for having me on.